Hello viewers and welcome back to Men of War Assault Squad 2. I'm your host Pee Choo Choo once again, and welcome back for another multiplayer commentary. So, today we're checking out a 1v1 match. Well, I suppose it'll be a live match, so we'll be playing a live match of Men of War Assault Squad. And anyways, we're checking out the new map. It's titled Spring. It's it should be a fairly small 1v1 map here, and we'll just sort of see how this goes, see how this progresses, and whether or not some interesting, game bits develop. So I'm going to be playing as the Americans. My opponent here will be playing as the Germans, and now the game begins. So we'll buy a regular squad of infantry. We're playing on assault zones once again, and as you can see, this map it's a tiny little farmland map, so it's rather nice looking. I think I'll go for this side point just sort of right away, and just try to bank on that. And I think my opponent will try to bank on the exact opposite of over here. And with that said, we'll get our MG gunner and a couple of troops, really, because I'm not really sure where my opponent is coming from, to come over here, and these guys will actually occupy these buildings, because all the buildings inside this game are in fact garrisonable, which is a nice little feature. And I think I'll get the sandbag parade to start making some sandbags right there. And yeah, our guys will be capping the points. My enemy doesn't seem to be appearing, so he's probably capping his own thing. Or maybe not. He might be saving up for a tank too. That's also a possibility. Looks like he's moving over here. So that's interesting. These guys should continue making their sandbags, but I see a single troop over there. So I'm gonna guess that might be some tank play or something like that. So we'll toss the grenade and really just see how he reacts to that. There we go, so we can knock these guys down. Those guys will take a little bit of time to get back up, so we can drop another grenade and really see what happens with that. It looks like he bought the assault squad of infantry, so the assault squad is primarily made up of SMG gunners and the like. I'm not necessarily sure if it's all too strong, so that is one of the concerns that I have about that particular deck, and I'm just really waiting it out, and I'm just really gonna see what he does right here. So these sandbags are made. I'm gonna get my MG to come out and take that position where I can sort of have cover from both this little ravine and the other side of the bridge as well. And I really don't know if we need any more people over here, so I think I'll actually keep these guys here, and I'll try to sneak a AT guy into the rear of the enemy. It's in this game, it's really useful if you can sneak by a troop just behind the enemy, in which you can then sort of use your infiltrators to take out enemy artillery pieces and enemy heavy vehicles if they appear. Because often if you do get a grenade throw on the rear of an enemy tank, it will just absolutely devastate them. So again, MGs for the Americans are fairly cheap. I'm going to buy the second one right away. And it looks like my opponent bought some of those Volkssturm infantrymen, and they're not necessarily particularly useful at anything. With that said, I really don't expect him to be doing much with it. So what I think I'll do here is that I see that AT gun. I'm going to try to kill it off here with an AT grenade from my guy. And he's really just going to hope that he can get behind enemy lines over here with his grenade. Get him to pull it out here, just because it saves a little bit of time when drawing it. And he's really just going to try to make a sprint over there and try to drop that grenade onto the enemy and hope that he doesn't get hit by anything too badly. Well, let's see. Yeah, he's going to die, unfortunately. Sometimes they make it. Typically, I mean, in those infiltration scenarios, if you're able to get back and behind the enemy's line with a really good recoilless rifle or some sort of AT weapon, it's really rather deadly, because those things have the tendency to damage vehicles. Oh no, that grenade really sucked. Went into the trees. They have the ability to go just right into the back of vehicles and take them out within that respect, so it's really rather useful there. Now, great, I can't, I want to take out that AT gun, but that is going to be very difficult. What I think I'll do here is I'll get our guy to hop over the fence, because you can do that, where you should be able to. Come on, hop over. Yeah, that is really wonky. You should be able to hop over these fences just almost immediately. But anyhow, that'll keep their AT gun down for now. He's gonna buy a Puma to try to suppress us over here. That's fine. We can buy a Sherman tank to put some pressure on them in just a little bit, and that is exactly what I'm gonna do. So time comes, bought that Sherman tank. That's gonna roll up here and it's gonna do some damage. And in the meantime, I'll buy a 30 cal machine gun, which is one of the new MP units. And these guys have a fairly high rate of fire MG when compared to the M1 Browning. And with that sort of said, these guys are a fairly useful tool because they contain a very, very heavy MG that's actually bigger than the MG34s that you usually deploy. So we're going to counter them like that. They aren't able to pierce us with practically any... Oh! They shouldn't be able to pierce us with anything there. And sometimes in the Men of War games, you see really freakish things happen like this. We managed to take out the entirety of the crew inside that Puma, but not the Puma itself. With that said, we might be able to capture it. I want to see if we can just run people up to it and really just take it. So with that said, we'll get some people up there. And you'll see here that I'm keeping a few infantrymen back, and this is because I want to make sure that my tank isn't gonna get blown up to infiltrators. Like I said, I was talking about infiltrators in a little bit earlier and how they're fairly effective. With that said, you might want to keep a few guys near your vehicles, near your heavy expensive vehicles, because as soon as the infiltrator is detected, pretty much the use of the infiltrator is all gone. So if you're able to detect those guys, the infiltration will be able to get off a few shots, and they're approaching the vehicle too. So with that said, it helps you out in the sense that they're running into your bullets, right? The second thing is that with infiltrators, once they're detected, the turret of the tank, or at least the machine gunner on the top, if the vehicle has one, has a tendency to just sort of rotate and fire off really at whatever thing that is approaching it, meaning that you should be able to take them out too. The tank should also be able to help out. And is that still the little pack? I'm gonna try to snipe that pack. Is that the pack 37? That little, or 36? Those things should not be able to do very much damage to any vehicle actually. Well, no, that's not true. Apart from the very, very light armored cars and such. I used to like to buy a lot of those tanks, those Pack 36s, because they're fairly useful in knocking out, well, just plain and simple weird vehicles, and like the half tracks and stuff like that. But they aren't fairly useful for any other purpose. So again, one of those limited use little troops. So there we go, we have our Browning opening up. This gun, I don't believe it can penetrate things that well compared to the 50 cal, but the 50 cal machine gun has a very, very high spread when you take it off vehicles. So maybe this is a little bit better for, say, putting pressure on infantry directly, and it's fairly cheap. Wanted to open it up. It looks like there's a large group of troops, and it looks like they're deploying a little Goliath. I'm gonna get my AT troops to try to throw a grenade at it. Beware, the AI is not great at throwing these nades at these Goliaths. So if they miss, and say you look at the Goliath, get your guy to throw a grenade at it, thinking that one grenade is gonna be enough. If that grenade misses, you run a severe chance of actually losing a vehicle to those things, just sort of due to not paying attention, really. Yeah, so their tank is gonna go and fire at us. My tank is just gonna crush all of these little fencing sections, and it's gonna appear behind here, hopefully hit the enemy tank. And we want to try to skirmish off with this guy. He might be able to penetrate our armor. A little trick that you can do to make your tank a little bit stronger is that if you have any sort of armored vehicle, you can increase the slopage on your vehicle by positioning it at this sort of angle. When you have the corner of the tank facing the enemy, assuming that it shoots the front portion of your armor, it has the same effect as sloping the armor. And if some of you guys may recall, sloped armor effectively doubles the actual armor plating, and that's how the T-34 sort of works. Actually, with the T-34 inside this game, it I believe like there's quite a few different versions of the T-34 inside this game because they did upgrade them during the war. But there's one version of the T-34 and it has about 50 millimeters of armor. But in practice, if you slope the armor, you would get it up to 100, which was effectively the same amount as the German Tiger 1 tank because, well, it didn't have sloped armor. It was a flat surface. So again, just a little tank battle info portion here. We haven't really been seeing all too many of these tank battles, unfortunately. Alright, so I have a Puma. And one of the things you can do is that you don't necessarily need infantry to do much more than cap points if you have a strong armored vehicle to sort of support your advance. So what I like to do at times is that if you're say running low on perhaps money after buying a vehicle immediately, but you want to move forwards, typically, I mean, you can just buy some of the cheapo conscript infantry, which would be the Volkssturm, the partisans, and the conscripts. So with these guys, I mean, all they really do is they'll spot for the enemy, where they'll spot for your tank. And that's pretty much it. He's bought a Martyr tank destroyer. I'm not really sure how effective those vehicles are, so I think I'll get my guys to just hide back here, and I'll let my tanks pick it off pretty much. That was a rare moment inside the game where the AI actually works for the vehicles.
Yes, sir. Got it, sir.
And yeah, so pretty much in this area right here, we've got our MGs covering the Puma, our guys spotting for the Puma, and we should be able to roll over this point with a fair degree of ease, just like that. So they still have that Martyr vehicle over here, and this Martyr vehicle. It's a light tank destroyer. It's not necessarily particularly thick on armor, and it's to be frank. I mean, in real life, they phase those things out really rather fast. But they're a new hero unit that you can buy with these specialty points down here, and I believe the good thing about them is mainly the fact that they're fairly cheap.
Hey, lads.
I see that they have an enemy vehicle in the back there. Oh crap. Let's see what we can do here. One really good shot to take out their tank. And then with those Goliaths, they suck terribly at handling. They're a little hard to hit with tanks, but yeah, the driving with them is painfully slow if you turn, and it's painfully predictable if you drive in a straight line. So again, those things, I mean, they're meant to clear stationary mines. That was the purpose of those little Goliath tanks. So if you're actually able to just sort of keep your vehicles back, you have a fair amount of chance in escaping them. Those things they mainly prey on people who don't pay attention to their vehicles is the main thing. Alright, so we've captured this line. Again, these conscript guys, they honestly don't hold ground. With the American troops, the American troops are just inherently weaker than the other factions' troops. In my opinion, at least, mainly due to the fact that their M1 Garens, they just don't seem to be as accurate, and they don't seem to have that one-shot potential, the other guys' rifles. These conscripts are even a worser variant of them, where they can't one-shot people, and they also carry the Springfield rifles, which in my opinion are just absolute crap. So what I'm going to use these guys as over here is just a defensive belt like that. So these guys will just provide a ton of sight, and from there my Puma can then operate. So yeah, and we'll pull this Puma back because we don't want to show that to our enemy just yet. And what we can do to augment this line is that we can just put a single bar gunner here. These conscripts only cost 60 points, and the machine gunner only costs, well, the machine gunner costs 55, so this machine gunner, in theory, is almost worth that entire squad. But the thing about the machine gunner is that you can rip off that gun, of course, and use it for another purpose. So anyways, I'll see you guys next time where we check out yet another multiplayer match of Assault Squad 2.